What's up, everybody? We're Zachetology for the final edition of the 21-39 season. We're going to do the conference finals predictions, the second round recap, and the bonus finals prediction because no one's making a Zachetology episode for one match. All right, let's recap. So, first of all, just what a fantastic round two. 3 games went to game 7. Every game went 6 games. And I got every prediction right, both I think in spirit and in the actual prediction. So, we vibing today, boys. All right. So in the West, the Mavericks beat the Clippers 4-2. This basically was a case of the Mavericks being better than the Clippers all around. As expected, Cristiano Morris did go to work against Jamie Jones. He's just not big enough. Doc moved Ira Dean to shooting guard, I think, to be closer to the potential scoring of Morris, which, I get the idea, and, you don't know if Michael was going to start Morris at shooting guard, so I get it, but he started him at point guard, and he got matched up with Jamie Jones, and so, Morris went ham. Carmichael Brown also did extremely good. Michael Fitzgerald is kind of like a average defender, so not surprising Carmichael Brown popped off. I didn't really pay much attention to Isaiah Todd's performance in the series. Maybe he just didn't do as well as I thought. I'm going to take a peek right now because I'm here. But they didn't need him because Carmichael Brown is finally showing up. And so it's super cool to see that because he was definitely thought of as a playoff disappear. Yeah, Isaiah Todd, pretty limited impact, but that's fine because Morris and Brown were happy to start in the show. Doc really just got a bad shake because I think he would have beaten the Nuggets or the Rockets. But unfortunately, the round 2 exits continue. At the bottom half of the bracket of the West, we have the Rockets versus the Nuggets. I predicted this series to the game as well. Or did I say the Nuggets in 2 or in 6? Either way, doesn't matter. I hate the Rockets. The way I look at this series even is I know it went 7. The Rockets snuck away with a 1-point win at home against the Nuggets, and that's probably the only reason this didn't go 6. I didn't like Evan's decision to put Renee Snyder on Del Val, only because while Renee Snyder can score on Del Val, Evan has too many other guys who are going to shoot the ball. Valdez, Carmichael, and Vogler are all going to take shots. Meanwhile, Bryant's team is built. The only thing Bryant's team does is give Del Val the ball to shoot. And Del Val's going to make buckets against Renee Snyder. I don't think he would have made buckets against Joseph Valdez or Christopher Carmichael, or at least not as many. So because of that, Del Val had a couple pop-off games, but Evan still came out on top. Again, I really think this Rockets team wasn't super good. Again, it's this weird stopgap year for Bryant, so I don't think he had high expectations, but they fall. Nuggets move on. In the East, the Magic and the Celtics played an absolute banger of a series going to 7. Granny was the key difference. He took over. In fact, I felt like the Celtics guards might have done a little better, but the Celtics guards absolutely got clapped, but Granny was just that good. As I expected, Granny was played at power forward. I don't know if he's technically the starter or the power forward for the team generally, but he played at power forward. It's a huge matchup problem for the Magic because Claudio, they don't have 2 big men. And so I think Claudio didn't get to have the impact or as much of an impact as he would have liked on Granny. And because of that, he had multiple super mega pop-off games. Also for the Magic, I know they took it to 3, but the Willie Hendry magic was bound to run out. Without being too much of a hater, that Willie Hendry series against the Bucks, that was insane. I'll look back on that as one of the most random, heinous pop-offs ever. I mean, Willie Hendry finished this playoffs with something insane 22 points per game on 68% true shooting or something absolutely bananas. And that's after it got tanked by doing bad in this series, which shows how nuts he was in round 1. Willie Hendry, I'm just looking up the line because I want to see how insane it is. Yeah, so it's 22 points per game on 70% true shooting 50% from 3. I mean, I didn't think we were going to get the Willie Hendry superstar run, but we got it. Unfortunately, it comes to an end. Celtics move on. And then the Hornets versus the Nets. This is similar to the Nuggets versus Rockets, where I know it went 7, but the Hornets, these teams played 3 close games, and the Hornets happened to get 2 of them instead of the Nets. And if you flip some of those close games, then the Nets might be walking out of here in 6. The Nets looked like the better team. If you go look at the efficiency splits, the Nets looked really good. Olin Harris, the numbers were so absurd in the Bulls series that he was bound to come down to earth. But even against this team, which has very good paint defense and like arguable stars on the perimeter playing D, although they're not like all around defensive guys, Olin is still putting up like, he had another 50 burger. He's putting up 35 on over 50% shooting every single night, along with getting like 10 rebounds, along with getting 5 steals sometimes. Like, yeah, I don't think Olin is the greatest cheat code we've ever seen yet, but he's certainly in cheat code territory because the rest of this Nets team, I don't know if pathetic is, they're not pathetic. They're a very solid team. They're absolutely not a championship team, but Olin just like wiped the floor with the Hornets, who like, I would argue probably have a similar or as good, like a slightly better front court than the Nets. I think I'd like Mobley over Burnside, and I think I like Delbeck over whoever the other big man is, Din. And then like there's still Barlayer and Puentes and blah blah blah. So all in all, even though Idwin may have acted in the stream like the cheat code era is not here yet, I think is very much here. So now let's talk about the matchups that we get tomorrow. Nets versus Celtics. Unfortunately, I think round 2 had the bangers in the sense that we saw the conference finals ahead of time in both conferences. I think the conference finals in the East was the Hornets versus the Nets. With the Bucks gone, the Hornets and the Nets were the clear top 2 teams to me. The Wizards were kind of always fake in my eyes. Good for Bryant for getting the seed, but like it was like a 3-way tie or something. So the Hornets were a better playoff team to me. So the way I see this matchup going, unfortunately for Gasper, Granny has a tougher matchup now. Like, there's no position he can take advantage of. Din and Burnside, although they're not like superstar players, are both rock solid defenders. They bring size and athleticism to the table. They both kind of rebound the ball. They just well-rounded. So I think Granny will still do good. He's like an all-star, superstar, all RBSL player. But I don't think he's going to be dropping like mega efficient 40 bombs in this series. I'm thinking he'll be in the 20s, or he'll be up higher point totals but worse volume. And then, Gasper doesn't have anybody who can stop Olin. I mean, you're either trotting out the corpse of Cletus Millet, whatever it is, or you're trotting out someone who is just inferior in the ratings department in like a He Min or a who's the other guy, Tariq Stein. I don't know. Maybe you try and get does he have Drax or does he have Verbo? He's got one of those weird name dudes who could play defense. But even these guys, none of them are super quality defenders. It's going to be I think we'll see Olin look a lot more like he was in the Bulls series, just dominating. So I think this will be a pretty clean sweep for the Nets. Like this would, if there's ever going to be a time, there we go. If there's ever going to be a time where Idwin has a legendary blow, it would have to be this one. Because like, unlike previous years where I felt like there's at least a shadow of a chance, I don't really feel much of a chance. I'm going to give Gasper 2. Gasper's getting an additional game because of the Idwin blow it factor. Normally I would pick this 4-1 Nets. But 4-2 Nets cruise. I just hope we don't have an era of Granny versus Olin for the next 7 seasons, because that might be happening. All right, out in the West, a similar thing about the Western Conference Finals happening in the last round. I think the Mavs-Clippers was the Western Conference Finals. The Mavs are not as good as the Nets. The Nuggets are not as good as the Celtics. It's a similar talent difference, though. It's like, okay, the Nuggets have the Renee Snyder problem, or Renee Snyder, the whole guard problem. Who are they going to play at point guard? The Mavericks can kind of solve that problem. The Mavericks have to pick who they're going to play at point guard. That's like the big decision. All right, so if Evan is going to play Renee Snyder at point guard, which you have to assume he's going to do, then you pick. Do you play Jonathan Ratliff at point guard because you want to shut down Renee Snyder? Jonathan Ratliff, pretty quick. He's 6'4", great defensive ratings, good passer. But then you get Morris stuck against the better defenders of the Nuggets, the Valdezes, the Carmichaels. Or do you play Morris at point guard, knowing that Morris will probably get Renee Snyder? And if he does, he can probably take advantage of that. The downside being Morris, not super quick. Like, he's a good athlete for a wing, but he doesn't really bring the athletic profile to defend the 3-ball against a guard necessarily. So it's hard to say if he could stop Renee from popping off. That's really the question. The Mavs have the superior front court, no question. Like, Damon Vogler is great, but Damon Vogler is, like, not as good as Carmichael Brown. And Isaiah Todd is the other guy, is better option than Marty Jones, who I just don't love. So the Mavericks have the superior team, but there is interest here just because there's an opportunity for, I don't know what the right answer is. I think if I'm Michael, I'm going Morris at point guard because, like, you just want Evan to game plan against you. You don't need to, like, worry so much about Renee Snyder. Like, Renee, even though he's the best scorer for this team, he's still having a pretty meh series outside of his efficiency, right? His volume in the playoffs so far has been, let's take a look. I don't even know if he's over 20 points per game. He's at 22 points per game, which, like, is good and all, but he's the only efficient scorer on the entire team. Like, I think you can live with that. So I personally would put Morris at point guard, but I totally see the case for Ratliff, and I'm kind of torn. And, like, if I was in Michael's position, I might sit for a while and, like, think and decide. But anyways, Michael still has the superior team, so I'm gonna give this one a 7-gamer, because this is more of I'm hoping for drama than I'm expecting drama. This could very well be a 4-2 or a 4-1. I really think I should go 4-2 on this. I'm going to go 4-2. I don't really love the Nuggets. And they did almost lose to the Rockets, which is pretty pathetic. Yeah, I think Carmichael Brown and the Isaiah Todd frontcourt is the key differentiator here. Evan could make it a 7-game series if he gets the lineup advantage, gets Renee Snyder unlocked and manages to put him at point guard. I don't know if it'll pay off. So then in the final series, we'll have the Mavericks versus the Nets. An interesting series. But I think the problem is, like, Olin is just really, really, really hard to stop. I don't know if the Mavericks have the answer. Is Jonathan Ratliff the answer? I'm not really convinced he is. Is Cristiano Morris the answer? Absolutely not. George Bradley is an interesting case as the answer. And so is William DeFay. So, like, I think this could be a shockingly banger of a series, but, like, what Olin Harris has shown so far is just nuts. And so I'm kind of just falling back on the best player wins series in this one, which is not the worst take to make. And although we meme on Itawin for losing all of the series in the clutch, like, at some level he's going to break through. Like, he's got these superior teams. He's going to win eventually. He's not, it's RNG, and eventually the numbers break your way. I think this will be the year they do. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be that way in the future a lot, barring Itawin making some criminal mistakes or Olin Harris hitting a minus TC or something. He's just so goddamn good. But excited to see the series. I'll pick the Nets in 7, because who doesn't want a 7-game finals? So those are your picks. Zachetology, we're just going to pretend like the first round didn't happen. We're going to try and go perfect from here on out. It was a great season. Don't forget to put in your extensions, TBD, bank transactions, blah, blah, blah. And check the fucking upload list. Stay breezy. Toodles.